Imagine you're writing a piece of software, right? And instead of giving you one definitive output, your code actively argues with itself in production.
Yeah, that sounds like a literal nightmare for most engineers. I mean, we usually just want code to compile, execute, and give us a clean, deterministic answer.
Exactly. Like philosophy and debate, those belong in a meeting room, not the runtime environment.
Right, but that's where Christopher Coleman's article, The Three Minds Inside Warden, really flips the script.
It totally does. Welcome to this deep dive, by the way. Today, our mission is to translate that abstract philosophy directly into executable runtime architecture.
Because Coleman argues that Warden didn't just stick some deep meaning on top of an AI. The architecture actually is the philosophy.
Philosophy that survived contact with engineering. Okay, let's unpack this, because to build this system, Coleman first had to shatter the illusion that an AI should have, like, a single perfect algorithmic voice.
Right, and he pulled the blueprint for that straight from psychology. Specifically, Carl Jung's concept of the shadow.
Oh, right, the shadow, the idea that we all have hidden motives, contradictions, competing internal voices.
Exactly. And he turned that psychological concept into literal system parallelism. So Warden runs multiple interpretations against the exact same evidence simultaneously.
So it's kind of like multi-threading, but instead of threads just sharing a workload, they're actively arguing with each other.
Yeah, they're running totally different reasoning paths, and they are explicitly allowed to disagree with the dominant conclusion.
I have to admit, when I first read that, I was just confused. I mean, usually you don't want your software having an identity crisis. Why introduce deliberate internal friction?
Well, what's fascinating here is that this isn't a bug, it's a feature. Exposing what the primary reasoning path missed actually makes the system way more resilient.
Oh, because a single clean voice in a complex AI is often just like a really confident hallucination.
Precisely. By forcing this shadow process to challenge the main logic, the system catches its own blind spots before it does anything.
But wait, if you have all these isolated logic paths just bickering with each other, how does the system not just spin into a chaotic deadlock? Like, how does it understand where it even is to make sense of the disagreement?
So that requires a structural map, which Coleman actually adapted from Ken Wilber's work on integral theory.
Okay, integral theory. What does that look like in practice?
Instead of just looking at intelligence as a flat record of what an agent did, Warden maps reality across multiple quadrants. It tracks internal states, external environments, system rules, and social contexts all at once.
Wow. Okay, so in code terms, that sounds less like a basic state machine and more like passing an infinitely complex environment variable object into every single function.
Yeah, just to keep track of reality. But that broader context is what prevents the AI from making catastrophic decisions based on isolated layers of data.
Right. So if the internal state says, act now, but the external social context tag says high risk, the system cross-references those and knows to hold back.
Exactly. It gives it the awareness to pause.
Here's where I get hung up, though. You've got multiple arguing voices and this massive, heavy context matrix. How does the system actually execute a decision without chaotic latency?
Yeah, you'd think it would grind to a halt. But that's where a strict architectural rule comes into play.
Yeah.
Drawn from Michelle McDonald's practice of mindfulness.
Which is what?
A core principle is just really simple. Observation is not interpretation, and interpretation is not authority.
Oh, I see. So when a signal enters the system, it doesn't immediately trigger a response.
Right. The architecture preserves where the signal came from, evaluates its confidence score, and maintains any internal disagreement well before any decision is made.
So it's essentially a hyper-strict decoupling of the data ingestion layer, the business logic layer, and the execution layer.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this rule of threes, self, system, observer, and evidence, context, authority.
Right.
It prevents any single layer of the stack from pretending it owns the whole truth. It creates safe, autonomous behavior by design.
That makes so much sense. So Warden proves that philosophy isn't just theory. It can be the literal runtime architecture used to handle conflicting evidence and human authority in code.
It forces us to realize that how a system thinks fundamentally dictates how safe it is in the real world.
Which raises an incredibly important question for you listening to mull over.
Yes.
Since Warden intentionally hard-coded mindfulness and the psychological shadow into its architecture.
Yeah, what implicit accidental philosophies have you unknowingly hard-coded into the systems you build every day?
Exactly. Definitely something to think about next time you hit compile.